Good evening. We will start the meeting. I will call this meeting to order. In the absence of your chair, Gustavo Vela, I'm going to be acting as the chair. Good evening. We're going to call this meeting to order. We're going to pledge of allegiance. We pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. We need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Move in second. Everybody in favor? Next item is public comments. Just for the record, public comments, we will ask the person speaking during the meeting to state their name, whether they are resident or district, and if speaking for an organization, the name of the organization. The statements should be brief and concise. The board will not hear comments regarding any individual district or staff. A person giving public comment is limited to established time limit of 3 minutes. We only have one person as my record shows, and it's Debbie Sutton.
Thank you. As an acting board chair, the board members, Superintendent Morlock. I'd like to express my gratitude to all the Commissioner has done for the Woodburn School District and the Woodburn community. I was upset when he was unduly attacked by our union last year, and I am deeply saddened by the personal attacks he has endured this year. My hope is that he will continue to take the high road. He will continue to do what is challenging and best for all over what is easy. I hope he will continue to serve the district and the community even when it hurts. Mr. Medina, you are appreciated. If Woodburn School District loses Mr. Medina, what message are we sending to students and the community about reporting possible criminal activity? Mr. Medina has consistently displayed an exceptional level of integrity, diligence, and dedication. Please stay with us. Again, Mr. Medina, thank you for all you have given to the community. Board members, thank you for your time and your consideration.
Board action item, resolution number 22-010. Approval of McDonald Miller as the general contractor for the Lincoln and French Ferry rooftop units replacement project.
Thank you. We'll have Ivan May, our facility supervisor.
Thank you, Ivan. Thank you for being here.
Actually, the first thing I want to review just briefly is the memo to Superintendent Morlock before we get to the resolution, to the background information, and address any questions you might have about that. As you know, many of our rooftop units are quite old in the district, particularly these ones. We have a plan to replace all of our rooftop units through the capital improvement plan over the next 5 to 7 years. But these are the worst right now. As you recall, some time back, we already approved Washington's project. That was put on hold because we couldn't get the units in time to do that project this summer. So that's going to be next summer, which is going to be very busy if this is approved as well. So we want to continue with recommending rooftop replacements at Lincoln and at French Prairie. They're 25 to 29 years old. We've done a pretty good job, I think, of taking care of them to get us to this point, but they are quite old. We're using the interlocal purchasing system, affectionately known as TIPS, to procure this. McDonald Miller is a qualified contractor under that procurement vehicle. It started out by me approaching them to get a rough order of magnitude for the project and then moved into the TIPS arrangement. We've used several cooperative agreements in the past to be able to get projects of this magnitude completed. It's a process that's highly vetted through RS means in order to show that we are getting a fair market price for the work that's being done. McDonald Miller is a pre-qualified vendor, as I mentioned, for that under the contract number there that is mentioned. Recommendation is to move forward and appropriate ESSER funds to support this project. The Lincoln project cost is 2.1 and change to 2,124,061. The Branch Prairie project cost is estimated at 2,824,977. You see a total project cost there at 4,949,628. So, in harmony, are there any questions about this arrangement and the process that we're going through to get there?
I was more interested, well, I'm interested in the price, but also in the wear and tear. We're talking about 25 to 29 years.
Yes.
Is the present unit. So we have on our roofs now. Did you have contemplated like the wear and tear for the newer equipment? Would that last that long? The 25 to 30 years?
That is our expectation with good maintenance. And that's the best way. When we get these in, you know, at about year 12 to 15 is when we want to start thinking about replacement costs. So we don't get into a situation where we're doing these lump sum replacements, which are quite costly. And that's how we would typically do that. And it's how the remainder of the units in the district, Heritage Valor, which even though that's a newer looking school and everything's nice, those units too are approaching that 20-year lifespan, and the same with the high school. So those are going to be replaced in our capital improvement plans over the next, like I said, 5 to 7 progressively. It's a good question.
You don't have any questions, but actually looked them up.
I'm sorry.
I said I don't have any questions, but I looked them up and did a little bit.
Oh, McDonald Miller. Yes. They've been a good partner to the district over the last 5 years.
My question, if we expect these rooftop units to be working over the next 20 years, what happens if we upgrade our facilities a bit like that? Unplug it, update facility, plug it back in kind of thing?
Well, you know, the evolution of these components is always changing. And these ones that we have spec'd for this are going to be the absolute most efficient and economical ones that we can get today. They're going to have economizers that are going to help us to be able to utilize airflow to a much greater degree to provide a better comfort, because there's really two purposes of that unit. Comfort, but it needs to be efficient. So there's a lot of things that restrict that. It used to be you could get whatever size unit you wanted to put on a roof or in your house, but now they've kind of narrowed that down. They want to make sure that you are getting the climate, the atmosphere that you need in the space that you need economically. These will be able to accommodate a more robust filter, for example, that will help greatly. In our area, for example, the MERV 13 filter would be very helpful. It is helpful during fire season, for example, because it really cuts out things like that. Will it change? Yeah, there's a lot of studies locally in the region. Architects have shared this information about the weather changes over the next 10 to 20 years and how that's going to affect heating and ventilating. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Good question.
So are we ready to move the motion to accept the resolution number 22-010?
I move resolution number 22-010.
Everybody in favor? Say yea and nay.
Aye.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you. We will move to a resolution.
I've
I
got
mean,
one more.
you have one more.
Oh, I do have one more.
Good try.
We will move to discuss resolution number 22-011. And Mr. Ivan is here again.
At Nellie Muir, in order to bring the whole campus up to spec and standard, there was one rooftop unit that wasn't originally identified to be replaced. It's in what we call I think we call it the cafeteria gymnasium. The old cafeteria where they all used to be their gym, it was everything, multi-purpose room, gym. There's a rooftop unit, which really is not a rooftop unit, it's in the attic of that space, and it's shown considerable wear. It's given us quite a lot of difficulty, so a decision was made to go out and get that thing replaced. In the meantime, simultaneously, nutrition services identified a need for more adequate storage in the space. I don't know if you've been there, but you may have noticed that they're storing things in the cafeteria out in plain view. It's just difficult for them to manage that with what they get coming in. They didn't anticipate getting what they get on a regular basis. So they asked if we could design additional storage space for them. So we asked the architect to go ahead and explore that for us. And indeed they could. So that project is going to include replacing that unit, which will mean taking off part of the roof in that area. We're putting in the new unit. Obviously the roof goes back on, and then adding a little bump out for storage on what would be the southeast corner of the kitchen right now, to give them additional storage. That's the high level scope of that project.
Can you tell me more about the storage addition? Is it within that same space?
Yes,
Up there?
it's right adjacent to their kitchen, so they'll be able to walk right through it. It's attached to the kitchen, so it's just making the kitchen bigger essentially with additional storage space. If you've been there, I was there one day when you were there parking on that street, and if you look, like there's a trash enclosure,
Yeah.
and then there's a kitchen, and there's like a rectangular empty spot. That's where it's gonna go. So that whole area would come out, get bumped out a bit.
And so did we just not plan on that when it was finished?
It wasn't in the original scope. It was felt that everything designed of the kitchen would be adequate. And it was for a time. Nutrition services just seen this need. I think it's because they get more in based on deliveries and how that's managed. And it just makes it difficult for them. Which is probably good preemptively, because we did, as you recall, we identified a little bit of a windfall on pricing, so we was able to add extra classrooms that we have some that aren't being used right now, but when we get to that point, that capacity is gonna make a difference on that core. And it'll be good to have that extra additional storage. We're gonna use it now, so
And what's being used now?
they're storing it right in the cafeteria in open space.
So that's on the physical expansion of the space. Does this estimate include upgraded refrigerator system?
Oh, the kitchen's already brand new. Yeah, so this is like, yeah.
This is just for the building of the.
Imagine adding a great big walk-in closet to them.
Yeah,
That's what we're
yeah,
gonna do.
that's what I was thinking. I was
Yeah.
gonna ask if it's like a shed with, insulation and everything, to keep the food in good state and so
Yeah,
on.
it'll be primarily dry storage.
Mm. Okay, if there's no further questions. I would need a motion to move resolution number 22-011 approval of a triplet Wellman as the general contractor for Nelly Mears. RTU and kitchen and storage additional project.
And the resolution number 22011, approval of the Roman of the general contractor.
Second.
Everybody in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move into item number 5, executive session. We will consider vote on item 5.1. We will go.
I move to overturn, the recommendation on item 5.1.
Second.
Everybody in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you. I think that's it. We adjourned. Okay.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay, so what is our process? Can I lower tomorrow? Or your display tomorrow?
We're gonna do.
There we go.
Oh, God.
Legals and the meeting. Okay, meeting adjourned.
We adjourned.
Okay.
5, no, 6.
6:20.
28.